Welcome today to his violence. Yeah. No, it's yeah, that's probably like one of the greatest things that I love about our marriage is that obviously we're very much a couple of like we send each other memes from the toilet. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely like those fun things. But one of the other things too is that obviously with social media and the stuff that we send to each other, we see all these trends and husbands trashing on their wife, wives trashing on their husbands, wives trashing on their kids.
Yeah.
And we always say to each other, why?
Yeah, what are they getting out of it?
I just don't understand it. It's something that you and I have gone into like super long debates about it, like and it's not just super long debates. Is that we'll end up just talking about it, and it would be something like so quick of like the one person that they should be having the conversation with, they're not.
Yeah, instead they're having it with, a million people on Instagram or whatever.
Right. And like so like one of the ones that I remember like for me, it drove me insane. I think it was like right around Christmas time, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was a picture of a guy and his son, and they have like duct tape over the daughter's mouth and the wife's mouth.
Yeah, and it says, finally a silent night.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, and like I said, it's like, I'm not saying like I'm a wet blanket here, like in the sense of,
right, like we have no sense of humor or whatever. Right.
I love dark shit. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm pretty effed up in the head.
Yeah, a little twisted.
So, yeah, I'm a little twisted. So like, I like dark humor. But
but that is not funny at all.
It was a lot of disrespect because obviously it's like the nagging wife or like in
the daughters who won't shut up, they just keep talking, blah 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 blah. Like
right, and then it's just like, but just how that affects them so much in their mind of like, and them like you got to think about the level of trauma it takes to like basically agree
to you putting duct tape on my mouth. Yeah.
And taking a photo like, hey honey, we're at Sears. I'm gonna grab good thing I brought some duct tape in the tape. Yeah, we're at the Shisley Petty shoot. Like,
can't wait to send this Christmas card out. Like, are you joking?
Like, I'm just kind of like
my mom would slap me if that card.
Your mom would slap you and kill me. It's as simple as that. But I think it's like that's like the funny thing about it. Or not the funny. What's funny like about what Sarah would do to us.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just crazy to think that of all the things you can choose to do, right? And I get it, like being something that's outside of the box or being something that's so different. But I'm like, that's a whole nother level. But the other thing is too, it's just like you just telling your kid that, oh, here, listen, this is going to be okay. Like,
well, your daughters especially, right? Because think of it, right? Like we have 5 daughters. Obviously, everybody knows. We're duct taping their mouths and mine, basically saying like, you shouldn't have an opinion. What you think doesn't matter in this family. What you think doesn't matter in your future relationships. Like whatever your boyfriend or your fiance or your husband or your wife or whatever says goes. Like what is that teaching them? I just don't like the messaging behind that.
Right. And like for me, like haven't helped anybody who
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Instant death. Instant death.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not like a super like fuck the patriarchy type person, you know what I mean? Like at all. But I don't know, that's just gross to me. Like that one really, like I remember I sent that to you. I was like, this is so disgusting. Like,
but yeah, and that was like I said, I mean, like even for me, it's exactly. It's like, but then I also think about it, like from a husband perspective, right? Like I would never want you to stop talking to me.
Right.
Because that's where the problems start.
Right. I mean, just to think about it, like when you were going through kind of like a hard time at work and we were out for a walk and I was like, I just have to tell you something. Like you are picking up your phone in the middle of every conversation that we have, like, and it's starting to make me feel like you don't want to talk to me. And
deprioritizing you.
Yeah. And guess what's going to happen? Eventually, I'm just going to stop talking to you because I'm going to feel like my opinion doesn't matter or what I'm talking to you about doesn't matter. And of course, like, you were immediately apologetic and like, yeah, you would never want to make me feel that way.
Well, right. Because I remember that what I said to you at that point was that, I'm like, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry. Like, it's something that I knowingly do. And I think that what you said, the next thing to me probably mattered the world to me. You're like, the business is not going to fall apart
in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In the 10 minutes that I want to tell you, like, how my day with the kids was, or
just want your undivided attention. Like,
yeah.
And that's another thing too. It's like, you're with the kids all day. You're with, with all the kids, the babies. And then, you're not talking to another adult, and then exactly, it's like those moments where it's just like, you're just like so happy that I'm there.
Yeah. That
rather than me, yeah. Like, rather than me, like, basically saying, like, being happy too, that, like, I'm happy that I'm home and that I get to be with you. I miss you.
Oh.
Put you in my back pocket.
I know.
But, it's one of those things is that that's the hard thing, right? I think that it's funny. It's a conversations that I have with a lot of other friends of mine too, that that's like another topic we could kind of get into about, from the business owner perspective, in the sense of that it's so hard to shut it off.
Oh, for sure, because it's not like the typical 9 to 5 where you leave everything at the office, or even when you're working for somebody else, like, you come home and you're like, well, whatever, that's so-and-so's problem now. It's not my problem now. But when you own the business, everything is your problem.
Right. And,
like,
you're just worried about, like, if I don't answer this phone call, that's a lost opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not going to get this job, and then I'm not going to have the money to feed us. And it's like, it just is such
urgency.
A spot.
It's like urgency.
Yeah. So, but that's off topic.
Yeah,
we kind of rabbit hole there. But I just think that the whole duct tape thing is like, the messaging is like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. And how disheartening is that to a woman or a little girl? Like, just think about, like, Selena just wanted to tell you last night, like, that when she fell, that her little friend asked her if she was okay. Like, they want to tell you what happens at preschool. And I always think of, like, that thing that you always see, that it's like, the little things are the big things to them. And if you don't listen to the little things, then as they get older, they're not going to tell you the big things.
Yeah. That's massive right there.
Yeah.
And that's just the craziness part of it. It's everything that's like that. It's that point of, exactly, like I think about with, like, the kids and with you and those feelings of that, like, and just you guys just not wanting to talk about it. But then, like, most importantly, it's just the whole photo thing is what gets me so tripped up. That's why I was just trying to, like, I had, like, a little bit of, like, I was trying to find back where it was, because, like, that photo part was a part that had me so tripped up.
Yeah.
Because they're posting on social media and it went viral. And it's on social media now.
Oh, yeah,
and
forever.
And it's on the internet forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think a lot of people don't really truly understand at times, that, there's a lot of great things and a lot of bad things with social media. Like, and that's one of the things that, not understanding, like, the lifelong ramifications. It may not be a big deal now, but it could be something in the future. It could be something in the future for that kid.
Yeah, 100%.
And then it's just kind of like, let's say that something went down. It was, well, this is where it went wrong, where it is. I can tell you the day. It was actually when he posted it on this day at this time. Like,
well, I just think about it like, I don't know. And, like, whatever, they think it's a joke, they think it's funny, but it's like, you're just setting your kid up to, like, never have an opinion at school, never have an opinion at work, to just blindly follow any male that comes into their life because the son doesn't have duct tape on his mouth. Like, no, fuck that. His opinion isn't more important than theirs.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it like that.
Well, because think about it, they're the same age. It's not like it's just the dad and all the kids and the wife have duct tape on their mouth. The sons don't. Like, what messaging is that? It's the whole like, oh, sister, make sure your brother doesn't get into trouble, or like, sister, make sure that the laundry gets done, but the brother just gets to lay on the couch, like
snacking on chips.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that old school. My mom always took, my mom's one of 9, 4 boys and 5 girls, and she always tells the story like that. She was in the shower, and her grandmother, my great grandmother Biggie, came into the bathroom and said, "Sarah, get out of the shower. The boys just got home from football practice and they need to get in."
Yeah.
But that was like the mindset. Like, the boys were more important, and that's just,
it's the same thing. It was funny was that it's also now it is culturally. I saw a meme the other day where it's a Spanish family, right? And so the daughter's recording the mom, and like the mom made a bunch of tamales and stuff like that, and then she's like, divvying up all the tamales. She's like, "There's a bag." She's like, "Oh, who's that bag for?" "Oh, that's for Cheppy, whatever." "Oh, who's this bag for?" "Oh, that's for like Melissa or that." "Oh, and then who's the pot for?" "Oh, that's for my prince." Like, big ass pot of freaking tamales, like, and it's like,
that's how the girls would say I am with Brady. So maybe I'm part of the problem.
Yeah. Glass house. Yeah, no. It's like, but yeah, no, it's right. I mean, like, there's just so many different things. I mean, like, the more and more like you break it down, you can really go on tangents. Kind of like really break this thing down. But it's just like, it's just things like that. Like, and so like, we talk about that. Also, we talked about, before, when it came to like our kids, right, and us, making sure they have a voice, right? Because like, it's so common. Like, I think like generationally, I think like, especially how like we grew up, right? Well, I want to say we, because obviously I grew up much different. So it's like one of those things. Is just like when you were a kid, like you weren't entitled to an opinion. You literally do as I say, do as you're told, and shut up.
Be a good girl. That's
a good girl.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the stuff that has triggered me so much now, that me being a father, that how much we ingrain and how much we teach our kids, especially girls, that the people pleasing part of it, and then in how it manifests itself as they get older, that they allow for guys or people in their life to treat them like shit.
Absolutely.
And it's like the one thing that, and it's because like, well, just be a good girl. Be a good girl.
Yeah, but it teaches you to go against your gut feeling. It teaches you to not trust your body. Like,
your autonomy.
So, because so many times, you see a guy and you're like, no, I don't get the best feeling from this person, right? But you're like, I don't want to not be polite. Yeah. I can't not be polite. Like, what if someone thinks I'm a bitch? Like, that's literally like, that's because you are taught from a very young age, like, no, you be a good girl. You listen to whatever anybody else says. You don't cause a problem, And I think that's kind of like why we really, especially, I think it took us a long time to learn it, but like, it's hard. Like, when Carly questions like something that I say, for me not to just immediately like snap back and be like, well, because I'm telling you to do it, because I'm your mom, because I'm your mom and you should just do it. When I'm like, wait a second, she should have an opinion, right? Like, she should be able to say like, oh, mom, I don't know about that. Like,
I think that's what it is. I think it's finding the balance of respectfully telling your feelings and setting a boundary.
Yeah.
Respectfully. I think that's like the fine line of in parenting that we try to instill in our kids, of like learning how to be diplomatic while being stern and confident in themselves, of basically be like, yeah, listen, like this is not working for me. Like, and which is like, we've seen that. I think my favorite Selena story about like when she gave the kid three chances to like,
she punched a kid at
yeah,
preschool.
we're not violent people. Like we do not, no one hits in our house, stuff like that. But we do tell kids it's like don't go looking for a fight, but never back down from one. Like
well, and we're big on bodily autonomy, right? So we tell the kids like, if you don't want someone near you, you tell them, I need space. That's the big like I need space. Don't touch me. Don't touch me if I didn't ask you to. Like we are very big on that.
So Selena basically, this kid was bothering her. She's like, I need space. Kid didn't give her space. I need space. Kid didn't give her space. So finally, she's like, I'm telling you I need space. Kid didn't give her space. Just give him one of these. Like, right to the stomach.
Right in the gut. Remember, you were like, no, she probably didn't actually punch him. Maybe it was just a push. And then we're like, Selena, explain it. And she's like, me told him, me need space. He didn't listen. So me punch him like this. And I'm like, okay, right in the stomach. Okay.
And then I'm like,
I'm not even going to be mad at you because you reserve the right. I don't care that she's only 3. I'm instilling it in her now. You reserve the right to tell someone, I don't want you near me right now. And just to tie it all back into that stupid fucking picture, right? If we were duct taping their mouths for a joke Christmas card, finally a silent night, she's not going to be able to stick up for herself. She's just not.
Yeah. But then the other thing is too, is like, I think about like the way our kids are. Even if we said, oh, we're going to do this, they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let us.
They wouldn't even let us.
Yeah.
I don't think
which is good.
To that.
Maybe that's a testament to our parenting.
Yeah, like I'm just like yeah, you're not going to do that, dude. I'm sorry. You go like, yeah. But then like, I think there was that. And then like, since we're on the kid topic, you shared a photo, another meme with me where the clothes.
Oh, this drove me crazy. And like, this is a tough one because obviously I've said before, like I stopped drinking. I haven't drank in almost 7 months and I have no intention of starting to drink again. And I don't want to sound judgy because like, I don't care if people drink or whatever. Like everyone can do whatever the fuck they want. Obviously it just wasn't working for me in my life anymore. But here's this picture. This little girl is 2 years old. This wasn't a meme. This was actually someone that I know.
Yeah.
Or someone that I follow. But she's 2 years old and it's just like a black sweatshirt. And then on the back, it says, I'm the reason mama drinks. And I'm just like, ew. And the person that posted it posted like, oh, everyone in the grocery store judging me right now. And I'm like, well.
Yeah. This is the reason why I smoke crack.
Yeah.
I think it's like, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, it's like, it's you can kind of go on and on so many other different levels. Like the more and more you add to it, like if you just change one thing out for another, it's like, if me changing it and putting in as crack, right? Just as a fact of like difference of like alcohol and like there's a conversation I got into, like this is just kind of like another tangent. We can probably have another conversation about this before too, but like me and my brother were talking about like in alcohol, because same thing, I stopped drinking, my brother stopped drinking. It's things like that just don't work for us in our life anymore. And but in how alcohol is like that one so wildly accepted form of abuse that you're putting onto your body.
It's crazy.
It's like you would never say to somebody like, oh, what, you're not going to do coke today? Like
you never would.
Do any crack? Like
I've talked about this so much because, and I've been guilty of it in the past too. Like, oh, why aren't you drinking? And it's like, you wouldn't even ask, and like, just use weed as an example, right? Which now is legalized and most people use it in some form or the other.
Like medicinal purposes,
yeah,
marijuana and weed, like.
But you still, if you were smoking a bowl, right, and you went to pass it to like our neighbor when we were like sitting around the house or whatever,
yeah,
and she said, "Oh no," you wouldn't be like, "Why don't you want to smoke weed?" Yeah. You wouldn't, right?
Everybody's doing it.
But you would be like, "Why don't you want a shot?" And it's so backwards, right? Because literally more and more research is coming out that alcohol is it's a known carcinogen. It's legitimate poison that you're putting in your body. Weed at least does have medicinal properties, right? And I mean, there's really not much bad about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of like someone killing a car full of people being high, like on smoking weed versus them being a drunk driver.
Well, it's probably mostly because they're just like chilling at the house, relaxing, not going out and driving.
They're just sitting in the car, waiting at Wendy's. But yeah,
but yes,
stuff like that.
It's become like such a widely accepted thing, and I've talked about it before. I talked about it on the episode where we talked about 75 hard and why I stopped drinking and stuff like that. And the whole mommy like wine culture is like a little bit out of control for me. Like, oh, like I need a drink because these kids have been wild all day. And just to go back
and, like,
to
they'll bust out that like freaking wine glass like
Yeah.
this. And I'm just like, and I get it like for the funniness part of it. Like it is funny in this, like it's like shtick.
right.
Right.
But it's funny until it's not, right? Because until you're reliant on it, or to go back to what you said, social media is forever. And those kids who are 2, 3, 8, and they don't see that, but then, you know, they're 14 and they're on Instagram and they're going back through all their mom's posts and they're like, oh my God, like, was I that bad that my mom felt like she had to drink all the time? Or like, I know from things I've read or talking to you growing up with an alcoholic parent, like kids internalize so much, and so many kids already feel like, oh, like, you know, maybe if I wasn't a bad kid, my parent wouldn't drink.
Well, right. I mean, like let's just say that like your parents get divorced due to alcoholism,
Mm-hmm.
right? Due to something. Now it's this kid's now feeling that even.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think of
And
that.
so
Yeah.
it's just like, well, did I drive my mom to drink or did I drive my dad to drink?
Right. And then he left.
Because I was so awful.
And then
now,
he left. And now
and now my life is the way it is because of me. It's like people just don't realize it's just like in how this snowballs backwards and like and
maybe
like
we just are like taking things too deep because we've just like been through so much.
yeah. No, it's not about being in so deep. Is that like it's the ripple effect that it's casting a stone and not understanding and how far the ripple goes back.
Yeah.
And that's just exactly with how it is. It's just like, and so much collateral damage is done. And it's when you're an adult and you're a parent that you don't realize that every decision you make is going to affect and indirectly affect your family, your kids, your wife, your brothers, your sister, your mother, your father. Every decision that it is we make every single day in life.
Right. And I think it was always that way, but it is so magnified right now with social media. And I know we keep saying this, but like the thought, right? Okay, another video that I hate is at the beginning of the school year where the moms are like shoving the kids outside the house because they can't wait for them to be gone because summer vacation has been so long. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You know what? That might be a feeling that some moms have, right? Like those days can be long. It's tough trying to figure out what you're going to do with the kids every day. It's chaotic. Yeah. There's no routine. It's, you know, and as someone who thrives on routine, like I get it, right? But, you know, 10, 15 years ago, or say when my mom was a mom and we were all school aged, right? She couldn't make a video like that. She couldn't post it. You know what she would do if she was feeling that way? She would call her sister. Right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like you like, oh, Lola, like the kids are driving me crazy. But she would do it when we were out of her earshot. You know, kids hear so much. They see that. We see that all the time with Camila. Like we say something we didn't even know. She probably wasn't even in the room. And then the next day she's repeating it. She hears everything. They want to know everything that they're sponges.
Everything.
They want to hear everything that their parents are saying. They, you know, and I don't know. I think it's sad to some extent. Like all they want is to be with you. Right. You know, they just want your attention. They just
yeah. And then that's like another thing too. It's just like we were talking about like this morning, like when you know, the babies were always they started in their bed, they always end up in our bed, and you know, but I was saying that Selena was saying she's like, well, I love daddy the most.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm probably gonna recall this day one day when you're older and be like, at one point you loved me the most.
Yeah. Well, they were saying they're never gonna grow up and leave us. They're always gonna live with us. And obviously, since we have teenagers and a tween, we know that they are not always gonna want to spend all their time with us. So we soak it in as much as we possibly can.
And I think that that's something that I think a lot of the times as parents, it's like when we get caught up, that we forget to appreciate and these moments are forever. They're not little forever.
No,
and we take it for granted. I think a lot of the times, like I know, like for instance, with Kiara and Mia, I took their childhood for granted.
Yeah.
I chose working to give them stuff that they didn't need, and when all reality, like I could sit there with some sticks and some rocks, and they would be happier than a pig in shit.
Yeah.
Just because they're playing with me, they're being with me. Or if it was on the couch watching a movie, it didn't require money; it just required time.
Right.
And it's like that saying of a presence over presence.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just what it is. I think that we get so caught up in, social media and going viral and this validation of numbers, right? Like this, like, well, I have so many followers, I have this or I have that, or it's these validations of a metric, right? It's a metric of life now.
So true.
And I think that that's kind of, it's sad because there's some people that really go through it like that. And I just,
I wonder if we have a little bit of a different perspective on it and why we're seeing things the way that we're seeing on them, because we have such a big age gap and because, like we've talked about multiple times before, we've chosen to parent the babies differently than we did the older girls. And I think knowing, they don't always want to spend time with you. They're going to want to see their friends. They're going to want to be up in their room and stuff like that, that we do cherish the toddlers a little bit more than first-time parents who are going through it, because the toddler years are very difficult. Right. They're hard.
But it's hard for such a short time.
It is.
That's the thing is.
Because they're also amazing.
Right.
And just to go back to like what you said about, I took them and my niece, Fiona, who's like my other baby, my Fifi, to the trampoline park the other day for Fiona's birthday. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump with them. Yeah. Normally I would just watch or whatever. You would have thought that I mean, it would be like if someone handed you $1 million cash. Like, they were like, you're going to jump? Like, and Selena was just holding my hands and jumping over and over again. And it was the best. Yeah. And like an hour of my time that I just jumped on the trampoline with them was everything to them.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Right. And I think it's just what it is. It's just like, I think it's like simplifying it. I think it's like learning how to simplify it, learning that love doesn't need to be complicated, that time doesn't need to be complicated. It's those little things that I think to kind of go back to the comment, like you kind of started like touching around it. I think the reasons why you and I are so, I think it's because like we recognize a lot of our faults within ourselves.
Yeah.
And that we are so committed to personal growth that we realize that these kids didn't ask to get brought into this world.
Yeah.
We brought them into this world. We absolutely, like, they absolutely deserve us to be our best versions of ourselves.
Yes.
And because we're essentially creating this extension of us that's going to go out into this world beyond us, why wouldn't you want that version to be better than you?
Right.
In every way, shape, and form. And
yeah, I say all the time, like, I do not want it to take my kids until their mid-30s to realize all the shit that I had to realize, you know?
Like,
I hope they know from, you know what I mean? Like, that's why, like, the whole, like, bodily autonomy, like, not saying, like, be a good girl, like, that kind of stuff, like, they're gonna know. They know now. They know now.
Like, same thing. It's like, don't entertain relationships that are not good for you.
Yeah.
Like, if you have somebody, like, if someone's a shitty friend, or if someone's not putting their weight into you, or someone doesn't pour into you as much as you pour into them, like Charlie says, cut off like by a toenail.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things. It's to understand now, like, when I think about how many bad positions I put myself in for people that
Didn't give a shit about you.
that in the end they would be like, oh, I would do the same thing for you, but I'm like, but when the time came for it, I'm like, well, where are you, motherfucker? It was like one of those things. And also, they're the first ones that to freaking stab you in your back.
Yeah.
They're the first ones to, like, screw your girl right behind your back. Like, and that's the type of world that we live in. And it's something that we entertain, like, and this is something that I struggle with even just until recently, like on social media. I'm entertaining relationships
Yep.
that, for the sake of, well, I don't want them to think ill of me.
Right.
But I'm like, but
You don't even.
they think so much ill of me, and they dirt my name every single chance they
They're
get.
talking about me, and I know because people are
Yeah,
telling me or whatever.
I'm just like,
Oh, I can't unfollow them because they're gonna be like, oh,
Yeah.
she doesn't like me, and I'm like, but I don't like them.
yeah,
So why
and
do
I'm
I
like, so,
care?
why do I care? Why am I caring?
But I
so-
do care.
I'm just like, you know what? I'll decide cleaning out the closet, one of those things.
Social media, right? Like it's, and you know, I've done like long Instagram breaks and stuff before, and it's been like, I think I remember saying to you, like, you know, I'm at the park with the kids or whatever, and of course I'm taking pictures and I'm taking videos, and then once we get home, I'm making sure I post them. I'm like, why? So people know that I took my kids to the park? But like, really, like, it's, and we're all guilty of it, right? But I'm like, either way, I'm a good mom. Why do I care what friggin', you know, so-and-so from high school, who I only know on Instagram, thinks about the way that I parent my kids? Why does that matter to me?
It's like you'll also see like those posts too that like where, you know, you'll see like somebody like you'll see like those candid videos, like they record, like you'll see like a mother like legit set up her kid for like a photo shoot type deal, get the pic, and be like, all right, yeah, you sit there and play. Kids just by themselves, and I'm like, wow, they're
Yep.
just like running back to their phone, like.
Yep.
I'm just like, man,
It's all about appearances.
right, and that's what I feel like with a lot of stuff with social media, it's a highlight reel. There's not a lot of the truth and rawness of life into it, and that's like one thing that, you know, no one, everyone always posts the wins, no one posts the losses, right? And or everyone, it's easy to delude yourself, right, that your life is this great freaking life. In reality, I'm like, you know damn well your life is not this. You know,
Oh yeah,
damn well,
because
like,
we know
not-
people.
Yeah, like, you're not fooling anybody. And that's the thing is, here's the reality of it. If you think you're fooling everybody, everyone knows. And that's this thing. The only person you're fooling is yourself.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to kind of tie back to like, you know, the whole shirt thing, right? It's, you know, and also, like I said, it's like the stuff that we post and how it has these other ramifications and like these other things that kind of like snowball. But I think it's just kind of like breaking down like the psyche part of it. Like, why is it that like we do it?
Right.
Then, you know, to kind of get back to like what our initial conversation was.
I know, this is such a tangent episode. Yeah.
Because it's a hot take thing, right? So like one of the things is it's like now we talk about like husbands and wives and husbands, right?
Oh, I hate this so much. One of my number one most hated posts on Instagram is the one that's like, oh, my mother-in-law sure has a lot to say about how I raise my kids, considering I'm still raising one of hers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, ew.
Yeah.
How do you have sex with your husband if you still look at him like he's a fucking kid?
Yeah. Well, okay. See, my mind don't go there. But
Oh, like how is that attractive to you?
Wow.
Like how is that like something that you want. Like if you're like, oh my God, like I have to pick up after you. I have to fucking, like I'm treating you like I have to act like your mom because you're not capable of doing these things. Like, how does that translate into your relationship?
Right. But can I ask you this question, right? Because I'm just trying to think. Have you ever seen a meme of like a husband saying that about his wife?
No.
Because I haven't.
Nope.
The ones that I do see is like husbands saying like, oh, like me, like my buddy is expecting for me to trash on my wife, but I don't because my wife's perfect.
Yeah, and you will see those.
Say because we're gentlemen. That's
the men are perfect. No.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, and I see those. Women make those too. Like me just quietly removing myself from the situation when my friends are trashing their husbands because I got nothing to say.
Yeah, it's like the Homer Simpson.
Yeah. They're just like backing up into the bushes.
I get.
But it's a lot more of the ones that just absolutely trash their husbands and just emasculate them.
That is like I've seen some like nuts get clipped online, and I'm just like, anyway, but it's their husband. Like, this is somebody who you share a bed with. This is somebody who you build a life with. You guys live together. Like, you guys have a life together, and it's just this complete and utter disrespect.
It's so disrespectful.
And I'm just kind of like, but it's to like a grand scale. Like it's like that saying. It's just like you're standing up on stage and you just get pantsed. And you're just like,
yeah.
And
a million people just saw your wife.
Pool. Look at George Costanza. I was in the pool.
A million people just saw your wife shit all over you.
Yeah. That's something that it drives me nuts too, because like same exact deal. Like, when I think about it with us and things like that, like it's just for me. I think obviously like in like locker room talk, like guys would like vent about like their girls and stuff like that, and it does happen. But I'll be talking, I was guilty of it at one point. Like it's just in my life, it wasn't until I met you that I think I don't ever spoke. Like I'm just like, yeah, nah, like my wife is lights out. Like I love my wife. I could never talk ill of my wife and stuff like that. And then like, or like guys would come around the room. It was like an AA meeting. Like everyone's just sitting there. They're like, "Hi, my name's Kyle." Like and everyone like starts talking about their wife or talking about their girl. And then it was come time for me. I'm just like, yeah, no, my wife's actually a rock star, dude. I have no idea like what even in here. Like you're like, court sent me here. it's kind of like that. Like, and I don't know. It's like it's so bad because you're inviting so many different people into your bedroom. And I think that's something that we've always said to one another. That's kind of the way how we put it, is that at the end of the day, it's always about you and I, and the only people's opinions that matter are the two people that sleep in that bed.
Right. I mean, if I have a problem with you or something that's going on in our house, or I feel like you're not helping me enough or something, like the only person that I'm going to bring that up to is you.
Yeah. You air out your grievances with me. But then I already know there's going to be like some people be like, oh, well, not all of us have the luxury of having a husband or having somebody that communicates or something like that. And so I'm like, well, you going online doesn't make it any easier. It's
right. Oh my God. I just feel like it's such a, I don't know. I feel like it's a vicious cycle, right? Because do you let him help? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much.
That's another meme too that says like, it's like, oh, my husband trying to help, but me getting annoyed.
Because he doesn't do it the right way.
Fuck out the way.
Because he doesn't do it the right way.
And she physically pushed the guy out of the way, and he's just trying to help.
This is such a huge thing, right? Because we've kind of been through this before. Like, I can remember when we lived in Lynn, I think it was during COVID, like you took over doing the laundry or something. Because I
cleaned everything.
All right, I'm about to make a meme. Okay?
Yeah. No. I do remember that, like, because of COVID, like, we did so much laundry that we had no more place to put any of those clothes.
That is when you were like, if you buy one other pair of black leggings, he must have folded 37 pairs of black leggings.
I'm like, why am I folding the same thing 100 times? Times 5 kids, 5 girls, I'm sorry.
But, I can remember like going down the basement and the way that you were doing the laundry.
Oh my God.
I was like,
So the way how I do laundry is that I'm a sorter, but I sort them in piles.
okay,
So,
but
like,
he dumps out every
Yes.
basket, every single basket. And I mean, it was just all over the basement floor, piles and piles and piles.
a minefield
like-
clothes. Yeah.
Choking, trying not to say anything.
Well, because you know what it is? Because, like, obviously, it the way how your brain works, it's like your brain's on fire of just seeing all these things out of just displayed out there.
Yeah, like just keep it in the basket. That no one can. It's just keeping it, keeping the clutter in one spot.
Organized like that, like versus like me seeing it sorted like that, the way how my brain works,
Yeah.
is that me seeing it sorted like that, like I'm like, okay, because it's just step. I take this step, put it in. It does step,
Right.
put it in.
But the I guess the point of that is like,
Organized chaos.
yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
I have to take a step back from that, right? And be like, okay, this is not the way that I would do it, but he's doing it so that I don't have to, right? And what does it matter how he does it if the end result is the same, right?
But you think that is like, so let's just say, like, do you think that that's like a control or perfectionism thing? And like,
100%, I'm
If
a
it's
control
control-
freak.
right, but then like, do you feel that that's something that ties in of like, because you and I have like said, like, it's like, well, then where does that come from? Like, I think it's like, that's like one thing that we do to each other a lot. Like, it's just like, well, yeah, I'm a control freak. Well, where does that come from? Like, what about that makes, like, why do you think you're a control freak? And it's just like, and then like, I think that's like where like, we understand, like, that's where how far back we go. Because like, that's like what I understand, like, now we're hitting like another ripple, we're hitting another ripple and things like that. So I think it's like, when people start asking that question, I think that's, in answering those questions truthfully, I think that's where you find grace.
Yeah, I think so. That makes sense, right? Like if you
Yeah.
can figure out like, well, why do I feel this way? And a lot of it for me, and we talked about it in the episodes too, of like me being a stay-at-home mom is like, well, I feel like this is my job. So seeing you doing it makes me feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's easier for me to lash out at you like, that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Right.
When it's like, well, like,
Right.
this is also his house. He lives here too. They're also his kids. If he wants to help me, I should accept the help.
Right.
Whatever form that comes in. Right. And like, this is all not to say that like, I never like joke with like my sister, right? Like we always make the joke like, oh, like having a party today, I'm scrubbing the house. Kyle's in the garage organizing the shelves because so many people are going to be in our garage during the party. But that to me is like,
All the dads are gonna be in there, and they gotta see my tools. No, I know it just.
like Pat was like out collecting the leaves, remember, at the Christmas.
Yeah. You know what? Fucking, I love that thing that he had.
I know, that was
I
cool.
want to get one myself.
Yeah, of course you are.
I'm gonna do it at the same time.
No, but I think, I also think generationally, dads were less involved.
Yeah.
This generation is kind of like the first
Hands-on.
hands-on generation.
With fathering and
Yeah, especially like emotionally, I feel like, because I think like my dad was super hands-on and involved with us, but my mom did the heavy lifting, like emotionally, or like discipline-wise even. It was definitely like my dad was always like with her, but emotionally it just wasn't his thing. So, like when you and I talk about the kids and stuff, I really like want your opinion and I value your opinion, but I do think that's like a newer phenomenon kind of.
right. But I think it's also like we share that load a lot. In I'll be talking like for the most part, I think that put you like this. It's like I think like we almost have the balance of like we let it get it to the point where it's like where dad's voice has to come out.
For sure, yeah.
So then I'm like, guys, and then that's when everyone's just like, or if like the baby's like say something, I'm like, no one talks to mom like that. It's like,
yeah.
And I think that's kind of like those moments. But then also it's like, another viral part that is kind of started coming out where and I feel like this is something that I try to do like my best with at times and like we've talked about it before on the podcast is that, I think as guys, we have to do as husbands and as fathers and mostly as husbands, one thing we have to do better about is that coming home, if your wife is a stay-at-home mom, right? Just in general, just being able to look at your partner and recognize that if they're struggling, and it could be due to just being so overly stimulated that you basically like, you know what, like, just go out to bed. I got it.
Yeah, let me take over.
Or hey, why don't you go for a ride?
Yeah.
And just decompress for take a half hour, go park somewhere, grab a coffee, read a book, come back home when you're done. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's something that I think as men, like the way how our minds are obviously wired, like we can compartmentalize things much easier. And we're able, like, also we can tune shit out. We can just, I can shut shit off. Like, kids can be screaming, and I can just be like, they're click-clacking away. Like, and it's stuff like that versus...
How are you not hearing that? Your typing is at, like, a 50 in my mind. And it's, like, something that's so quiet. But on top of everything else, I'm like, oh, my God. I can hear everything on a million right now.
Yeah, you can hear, like, your hair growing.
Literally.
Yeah. And that's kind of, like, what it is. It's just, like, in looking at your partner and like looking at her and just basically being like, you know what, like I need to remove her from the situation because it's not going to end well for anybody. It's just something that like, because obviously, you at that given moment, like you're stressed out, your anxiety's out.
Yeah, and I don't want to be short with the kids. I don't want to like be short with you.
Afterwards. Right, exactly.
Right, because you guys don't deserve that either. But I think kind of going back to the whole like meme thing and the emasculating your husbands, like I wonder, and not that I think anyone posting that is helping the situation, because I don't, but I wonder, if I feel differently about it because, and we've talked about this so much, is like you are just the type of guy that just handles shit. Like if I ask you to do something, you take care of it. Yeah. You're able to make decisions. You are decisive. Like, I don't have to nag you about shit, right? Like, I was getting aggravated that you were leaving your clothes on the side of the bed instead of just throwing them in the basket. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, can you throw those clothes in the basket instead of leaving them on the side of the bed? And you're like, yeah, no problem, right? So it's just very easily resolved because you are the type of guy that just handles shit. I don't have to worry about it. And you do help me without asking.
Right. And obviously, like I said, it's like I mentioned it before. It's just like I think it's like, well, easy for you to say. Like, right. Not every guy's like that. Which is right. Which is like, I don't want to. It's true. Not every guy is like that. Like I said, like I have friends that are absolutely lazy and like they don't see themselves as a problem in their relationship. And then, like, they'll convince me, oh, you believe my wife, dude? Like, freak out and stuff like that. I'm like, well, buddy, the thing is, like, I'm the friend that, like, I will call you on your bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, do you blame her? Like, buddy, like, I don't want, like, she just asked you to put it in the hamper, right?
She's not even asking you to wash them.
No, saying that. But, like, understand, like, the absolute shock of seeing, like, some shitty drawers or something like that. Then she got to pick them up. She got to do it twice now. She got to pick it up.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just help her the first time and just put it in the fucking hamper, like,
right,
or something like that, like, or, it's just kind of like I think it's easy, like, for guys to just come home and basically be like having that old school generational mentality of like, oh, such a long day. You kick off your boots, you sit down on the couch. I just want to relax. I had a long day.
Mm-hmm. Why is the house a mess?
Why? No, right. But I mean, Jesus Christ, I would never ever, like, I think about, like, for me, like, if I was to ever say that, like, man, like, I was like, I'm like, might as well be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen at that point. Like,
right.
It's like one of those things. Like, I think that's like a very different mentality, I think, at that point. But I think, like, for me, it's just like, it's like, but I do have friends, like, where, like, they do believe that just because they're the primary breadwinner or something like that, they come home, they kick off their boots, that I don't have to do shit. I already did my part for the day.
Yeah, I did what I do for the family.
No, like, dude, like, your kids still need you. Your wife still needs you. And that's another thing, too, like, which we're going to get into the next big thing. I think this is the big one for us. Like, another hot take of the relationship of a husband and wife.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this. I was thinking about the message that Stellman, like, sent you. And it's like, you know, like, I have my rules and she has hers. And if everyone if every husband and wife could understand that, like, people would be a lot happier. Right. And he's like, and I know women aren't going to want to hear that. And I'm like, actually, I agree. Right. I actually agree with that. Like,
that's why he loves you.
I know. At the end of the day, right? My job right now is the house and the kids. Right? You go to work every day. You make sure that we have enough money to keep a roof over our head and food on the table and pay for all these fucking kids' sports. Okay?
Yeah.
Like,
and school.
And school. Yeah. And grocery, you know, whatever. So I don't expect you to do the laundry. I don't expect you to make dinner. I don't. Like, that's part of my job. Like, that's when I wake up at 6 until I go to bed. But that doesn't mean that you don't help me. And that doesn't mean that I don't help you in the role that you have, right? Like, if you forgot something at work or whatever, I will bring it to you.
Oh, right.
Right? Like, or if you need me to do something for the business, I do it. Like, yes, we have those roles. And I think those roles are important. And I think I believe in, like, the more feminine roles and the more masculine roles.
Right. I think that's the biggest, like, that, like, the traditional feminine.
I'm probably going to get canceled.
Role, probably. I mean, it's like, some of you guys enjoy the podcast. This is our last episode.
I was like, unfollow.
Because the thing is that, like, so we traditionally believe in traditional
marriage roles
in the sense, but, like, one of the I saw a role the other day, I sent it to you, that a guy said, he was like, he asked the husband asked, no, a guy interviewing the husband asked, what do you feel about your wife's role as stay-at-home mom? He's like, well, here she is. You talk. He's like, would you want it any other way? So the guy then asked, like, would your husband want it any other way? He's like, no, he loves the fact that I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. He's like, I get to raise my kids. Like, that's an honor and a privilege that I have. And because I'm afforded that, and he's given that chance to us. And then the other thing is too, but then like I'm reading, he then says, two things that go on. Like, he then says, femininity must be protected, masculinity must be earned.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, facts. That's facts to me. Like, you have to earn those roles and earn that title, right? In the sense of, like, you know, in masculinity, like that's that. But now it's like toxic masculinity is freaking under fire. But the thing is, like, I would see these comments, like, people, like, who, I saw this one thing, it blew my mind the other day, and I shared it with you. It was a woman that she recorded herself waiting for her husband to come home, and it's just so happy, that she ran up to him and, like, hugged him, and, like, they just had, like, this moment of, like, long embrace, like, I missed you, right? You're thinking, like, that's so beautiful, like, that's just awesome, like if as a man, me coming home,
and me being happy to see you,
I'm
like,
running home.
Yeah, you want to come home. Yeah, you want to come
every single day. But in versus like, now let's say like you just beat his dick in as soon as he walks in through the door. Guess what? I'm working longer hours. Why do I want to freaking go home?
Yeah.
And I've done that before. Those are the reasons why I work long hours, because I'm just like, why? So I can freaking just get my head beat in? You know what I'm saying? And it's reluctantly go home.
People shit all over that girl in the comments saying, like, you're basically a dog. You're basically a dog.
I could not have I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you... I'm like, because she loves her husband? Like, it's this thing of this...
I don't know. It's like not cool. It's like not cool to be like really in love with your husband for some reason.
Cool to love your wife. It's not cool to love. It's not cool to be. It's like it's not cool to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Because you can be so much more. You can be in corporate America. You can be in this. You can be that. Like, yeah, you can. But if you're not, why are you gonna go there and join the grind, be in the rat race, when the role that you have at home is more important? You're molding
the next
generation.
Yes.
You're molding next generation, rather than just freaking copy and pasting fucking drones.
I know. The whole thing is like it kind of just goes back to like our culture being really selfish, I think. Yeah. And it's all about, like, I think we got sold this lie, like, it's all about you. Like, you need to be happy. Like, if you're happy, your kids will be happy. And like, yeah, that's true. You do. You need to take care of yourself, like things like that. But your kids are little for such a short time. Like that 0 to 3 age, there's so much research that like they just need their parents. Like and it's like, just give them that time. And I don't, if people work, like I don't want to say like you shouldn't work or anything like that. But I'm just saying that I think we've gone too far as a society with the whole, like, well, you can do anything you want, and we've forgotten about the kids. We've forgotten about the babies. Like, they need you. And 3 years is such a short time in your life. You can go back to your career. You know, you can do whatever you want. Like,
then it goes into like, well, why should I have to give up my career? Why doesn't my husband give up his career? And it's like, that's the things that it goes into. Well, for me, it's checks and balances in the sense, like, number one, maternal love is something that's you grow inside of you. It's much different. That child needs something much different. It's a different type of love for that child.
Yes.
To their mother.
Yes, especially when they're so little.
Facts. So, and I understand.
You can't breastfeed them.
And that's the other thing. I can't breastfeed them. Can't breastfeed them.
Right.
And they know, because freaking like, but Selena, like, well, yeah, like, yeah, come out of there, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's things like that, right? And it's just so crazy to me, like it's in how everything that is traditional is just underneath attack, and that we are forced to think it is bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad to be a good mom. It's bad to be these different things, like, and like to love your husband, like, to respect your husband, or to respect your wife. And it's like we're living in a generation now where it's like we're selling our souls for money. We're freaking like, we just live in a world where it's
all about material. Like, oh, well, like, my wife can't stay home because then we wouldn't be able to afford our life. And it's like, well, what is it that you're trying to afford?
Right.
Right. Like, oh, you both have 2 giant SUVs and like, you know what I'm saying? I just think like it's time with your kids that you'll never get back, you know?
So just real quick too, another thing I just want to just mention, right? Like, this is probably my biggest thing is that everyone's life is different. There are some people that, you know what, they just prefer work.
Yes.
They just do. They just prefer to go to work, and that's okay. There's people who just prefer to be moms, and that's okay.
Yes.
Stop telling people if it's not your life, saying it's not okay. Like, stay in your lane.
I agree. There's too much. I think this goes back to just being on social media in general. Like, we have too much access to other people's lives and opinions.
And opinions. And I'm
Like,
just like,
if what we do doesn't work for you, who cares? It's not your fucking life.
keep it moving.
It's not your fucking life.
Yeah,
You know,
tune out.
this is
Another
just like
station.
what we're talking about is just our opinion and like why we live our life the way that we
And we'll
choose to. Yeah, this works for us. Like, and that's fine. We have a more traditional mindset. Like, we just think that way. We have more kind of like old school mentalities, I think, about certain things. Obviously, our values align. That's why we got married. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't care if you have two parents in the house that are working. Like, that's what works for your family. And I think I just heard on another podcast recently, the woman was like, you can't pick and choose what you would want from other people's lives unless you would trade lives with them completely, right? Like, do what is right for you. Do what is right for your family.
And like, everyone's circumstances are different. And so like, and I know that from a fact of like, in the past of like with Kiara and me, like, we had work because we had to work.
Yes.
And what matters is that at that point, that the time that you do have with them, you're making it quality.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not sitting here to knock on anybody for however it is. We're not saying that you have to do this, you have to do that. Not at all. It's more so the fact of that, protect what matters the most to you. Protect your home, protect your marriage, protect your relationships. That is probably the biggest thing, because everything of like who we are today is under fire. Everything, you can't be a straight couple anymore. You can't be a loving couple anymore. Like, it's just like, it's just all these different things. It's just like all of a sudden, like, you're getting lumped into a category.
Yeah.
You can't be a woman, like, you can't be a mother. Now you're a chest beater, you're this, you're that, like, all these other different things. And I'm a mother.
Yes.
Like, I'm a woman.
Yes.
Like, and all these other labels that get thrown on us, like, I'm a whatever. I'm gonna be called different shit after this. Cis guy. I'm toxic masculine. I don't know, whatever is out there today. It's like, no, I'm me. However, like, regardless of whatever reality is, you're gonna throw a label on me. Regardless, I've had labels thrown on me my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
I've been called a spick. I've been called freaking a loser. I've been called all these different things. Like, I'm me. I know who I am at the end of the day. You're never going to tell me anything different.
Right. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing, right? Is like, know who you are and don't let what is out there affect you in that way. Because I think that's what's going on with social media right now, is that there's just too much getting thrown at you from every direction. Like,
Right.
you know, everyone has an opinion on everything. And I think, you know, my hot take is do whatever the fuck is right for your family.
Right. And it's just like, you know what? And at the end of the day, we don't need to agree on everything. Let's agree to disagree.
And please don't cancel us.